Hello, everyone. Philip Lee returning with a new edition of Civil War Chat. Click on the subscribe button down here in the lower right to subscribe, and also the notification bell in the far upper right to be notified when the new episodes are released. This is the way YouTube operates. You got to do both of these things. Now, the extra bonus is if you click on that notification bell, you're going to find that Santa Claus is going to bring all the gifts that your children or grandchildren need, and you won't have to spend a dime. So go ahead and do that to be notified when those my new episodes are released. You might also consider getting Causes of the Civil War, which will fit into the talk we're going to have today, which describes why the South went to war, but also why the North went to war. You'll find out that my book, Causes of the Civil War, it covers those points about the North that academics commonly overlook. In fact, most academics really only want to focus on the reasons that they want to attribute to the South for the South going to war, as if it didn't take two sides to fight. Whenever they look at the causes for the North to take action, they usually fall back on platitudes like preserving the Union and other factors that really weren't at the root of their reasons for going to war. So let me go ahead and get into our topic for today, which is where are the Republicans? Now, this is a version of a piece written by Rick Sapp on Medium, and his title was "Where Are the Conservatives?" But I've changed it to "Where Are the Republicans?" His piece was originally written on November 28th and published on Medium on that date. And this is now November 30th, and I'm putting it out here. I have edited his comments a bit. You can learn more about Rick at his website, Trudge to Truth, and also I put a link in the written part of this commentary about where you can see his report or his article in Medium. So let's go. It is both motivating and distressing to have things one cares about, such as Confederate memorials, under attack. Motivating because it provides a purpose for writing to challenge the senseless destruction of art and history. Distressing because those who advocate for destruction and removal seem to be winning. Most disturbing is that many important voices are missing. Where are the leading Republicans, conservatives, or traditionalists? They should be arguing that the Confederate Memorial at Arlington National Cemetery is off limits, or at least explaining why they are silent. Fox News covers Kid Rock's campaign to save an antebellum mansion that a country music star once owned, but has little, if any, coverage of the naming commission or Moses Ezekiel's art concerning the Arlington Confederate Memorial. Have they ceded the definition of the Confederacy to those who hate it? Is the topic politically too hot to handle? If that is the case, they are not as smart as they would like us to think. Such conservatives, Republicans, and traditionalists are showing no courage. They do not realize that by failing to defend Southern history, they are implying that the Confederate States of America had nothing right. In truth, the Confederacy represented values that are deeply, at least some values that are deeply American and likely to be lost if things continue as they are. Consider the following points worth preserving that the South supported. First, many powers were originally reserved to the states, but would erode over time when and if not used. Second, it is proper to be wary of a strong central government. If left unchecked, it will rob us of our rights. Third, the Constitution makes it undeniably clear that the states allocated only limited powers to the central government. Now, the preceding points represented political views that were common at the founding of our nation. While there were arguments for and against a strong central government at the Constitutional Convention, unlike today, there was no reflexive acceptance of the federal government as supreme in all things. Even a cursory look at history shows that this was not the case. Lose the Southern history of the United States, and we lose much of the intellectual foundation of American conservatism. Okay, that completes Rick Sapp's article, and I applaud him for making his points briefly. I want to add a little bit, elaborate a little bit on my own regarding what he wrote. He left out in his original version the word traditionalist, and I have put it in because traditionalists have failed us. We are now at a point where this year a Black woman was installed into the Supreme Court and who admitted upon questioning during the Senate review process that she could not define what a woman is. But we know, traditionalists know, that men cannot be women and women cannot be men. Non-traditionalists say that's not true. Traditionalists say men cannot have babies. Non-traditionalists say that's not true. Trans men can have babies. This is madness. But what I've observed is that our country, in fact, most countries, are strongest when they are guided by traditions. Let's consider, for example, the Jewish faith. They have held firm to their traditions for thousands of years. If they had not, there would have been no Christianity, because Judaism would have faded before Jesus was born. It was necessary for the Jews to hang on to their traditions in order to survive where they are today. There's the famous song in the musical Fiddler on the Roof, in which one of the characters sings a song in praise of tradition. Why we have people today that will condemn the Confederacy, but then at the same time insist that their traditions are the ones that need to survive, and only their traditions. Let me try and put this another way. When Christianity came along, the Jewish people continued with their own traditions. There may have been attempts by some Christians to force them to give up their traditions and adopt Christianity, but that did not happen. And in many ways, it's certainly for the Jewish people, it's good that it didn't, and it's probably good for the world that it didn't. As I say, prior to the birth of Jesus, if the Jewish people had caved into the pagan religions of the time prior to Jesus's birth, there would be no Christianity. Tradition needs to be valued, and there's a lot in the Southern tradition that is valuable and should be valued. So I think I've elaborated on the principal points I want to make. Right now, for example, Michael Knowles of the Daily Wire is urging his listeners to call their senators and congressmen and urge that they vote against the bill to enable marriage between homosexuals, and in other words, codify into law that marriage is no longer just between a man and a woman. But here is my point to him. Where were you when the traditions of the South were destroyed by mobs of people tearing down Confederate statues? It was the beginning of a slippery slope in 2015. Tearing down the Confederate statues was just the first gear. Now we quickly have gone to the fifth gear, where we cannot even say without being accused of some sort of bigotry, that men cannot be women and women cannot be men and that men cannot have babies. Those that want to retain traditions today should reflect upon their failure to stand up for the traditions reflected in the Confederate monuments 7 years ago. If they had done their part, this slippery slope would have never gone from first gear to fifth gear. It would have never gone from first gear to second gear. In fact, it would have been taken out of first gear and put in reverse in 2015 if the traditionalists, those who emphasize tradition, had shown the courage to defend them, but they didn't. Finally, and I said it yesterday, and I'm going to say it again today, for those that want to destroy Confederate statues and just, basically engage in cultural genocide against the South, I want to repeat to you an old African proverb, Busato proverb. If a society is going to give up its customs and traditions, it had first better make certain that it has something of value to replace them. What's happening now is that we are replacing our traditions with notions that men can give birth to babies. Okay, it's obvious that it's such nonsense. It's just so obvious that we're out of the natural order of things. And when our society is driven by the natural order of things, we tend to do better. And I think that's true of all societies. But when we get out, when we violate the natural order, we create chaos and we create tyranny. And that's what's happened. Okay, that's our show for today. I want to thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.